Well, well, well.
Well, well, well.
If it isn't you, my little shadow twin.
Your other half.
Yeah. Are you even real?
I hope so. I mean, real enough. Real enough for me, man.
It's still real to me. I want to thank you for doing what you've done to your body.
Oh, man.
We're back at it again. Sorry for the delay, y'all. In case anyone is clamoring for a little podcast from us.
Didn't someone write you saying, get your shit together?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what the heck? Where's this podcast? And I'm like, chill it out. Okay. There's one coming. We actually recorded one the other night, but it just wasn't right. The nighttime was not the right time, I guess.
No, we spent a lot of the podcast being like, nighttime's the right time. And then after the podcast finished, we were like, that was horrible.
Yeah, I just felt I didn't want to put negative vibration into the world.
It's too easy when you're lazy to like, not that we were just being almost negative
It's true.
towards each other or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's the laziest thing of all is beating yourself up, right? Like, it's so easy. It's so, it's just the low-hanging fruit of abuse. So you're right there. Self-abuse, jeez. But I think we have a better positive mindset now.
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
I'm starting to tap into some joy in this life, in this winter season.
It's tough. It's really tough. If we weren't stuck in New York right now for reasons we can't speak about, I would love to be having fun in the sun. Like, I need it tremendously. My body needs sun.
No, you were definitely feeling that. I almost put you in the car and was like, I'm driving you straight to Florida.
It would be awesome. It would be really incredible.
I wish I could just carry you into the car like a child and just like wake up and be like, we're at Disney World, Sean.
Oh, man. I've had it very few times in my life, but that feeling where you fall asleep in the car or in transport somewhere and you like wake up to like your parents like putting you in bed. That's an early core memory for me. You ever have that? You probably lived your life like that till you were like 17.
No, I did have a lot more of it than you, though, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I have a sister that's 18 months younger than me. So I really just had an 18-month period, really a 9-month period, because then my mom was pregnant 9 months after I was born, where I was the only one. I was looking at our little pug last night, and our little pug, she snuggles up like in my mom's legs, and that's what I used to do when I was a little pug.
Right in the nook.
Yeah. It's very wispy memories because it didn't last that long. Like, it was just me and my parents for such a little amount of time that
Pre-memory, I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's pre-memory. I think my body probably remembers, but yeah, it's weird. You grow up. We all grow up so fast.
I wonder, do we wish we had more access to those like early memories? Do you wish you could remember more things?
No.
Yeah, I don't either, really.
No. Everything I need to remember, it's there. It's like, it's weird. It's stored like on some internal hard drive, but I can't access it unless it's triggered by something. And usually what that is like someone connected to my past. Like, I'll get around Jesse, my cousin, he's the closest thing I have to a brother, my best friend. And all of this stuff, like he'll do something and I'll be like, oh my God, remember when such and such? And everything will come flooding back. And that's really cool. And we just had the other night.
You open like a little portal in your mind. Like a door swings open and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and like you can clearly see and feel these memories, We had an epic reunion with one of our old cinematographers, Hillary, the other night. And the second she came in the door, we grabbed each other and we had the craziest embrace, and all this stuff came flooding back that I forgot about. A whole era of my life.
Yeah, between like 2009 and 2012, 13, 14.
Yeah, like a solid 5 years of very intense friendship and creative collaboration that I don't know if anyone would know about us if it wasn't for Hillary. Like, she came along and helped me see through some movies that I don't know how I would have done otherwise.
Forever indebted. We're forever indebted to a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Well, it's, what's crazy too? I didn't even think about this till just now. It's like we reopened that portal with Hillary, and we're going to be collaborating on some dope shit that we can't quite yet talk about. But the next morning after that, I got a text from the ultimate person that I'm indebted to, a guy named Mark Clark, who, man, it almost gives me anxiety thinking about this. Literally, this dude, he lived locally, and I was working at the deli, and he had seen me making like a senior film, like it was one of our assignments. I wasn't in film school, but it was like one of our assignments in some shitty film class I took, like go make a film with a couple of your classmates. And he happened to be, I was shooting a scene at the deli, and he happened to be in there, and he saw us doing it. Cut to a year later, I'm like a year out of college, working at the deli, and he comes in and he throws his 2 gallons of milk up on the counter, and I ring him up, and he goes, "Didn't I see you with a camera in here making stuff and whatever?" And I was kind of like, yeah, that's my dream. Is like I hope I can get involved in like the film industry in some way. And he was like, "Come work for me." Literally started my career. Like I don't know any other route to where I got other than this guy being like, "Oh, I got you. You want to do this? I'll show you the ropes." And pulled me in on Pepsi corporate tapes of all things. But I kind of like proved myself in there, and everyone was like, "Oh wow, you're pretty good."
Pretty sharp.
Yeah, and that led to me getting a gig at History Channel, and the History Channel led to me having a little bit of extra money and investing in my first short film, which went viral, or at least whatever viral was in 2008.
It's a like more organic viral because there weren't like to go viral in 2008 was like blogs had to pick it up and different things, and then it just like it got picked up and picked up by different websites because people used to go to individual websites.
I used to.
I know.
I don't even do that anymore. I go to
know.
Reddit.
Yeah, you have everything curated in one place, but it used to be a whole different world on the internet.
Yeah, yeah. When I made that film, I was like, I didn't really know why I made it or what I was doing with it, so I threw it up on Vimeo, a little known platform at that time. Little known again. What a piece of shit platform. Anyway, that's a personal grievance. But I threw it up there, and then literally like wrote. It was about the world's largest record collection. It's called the Archive, and I literally like reached out to some record blogs, and a couple of them picked it up, and it got like the first like few thousand views through that, and then Vimeo staff picked it, and that gave it a few more thousand, and then slowly but surely it just like became a thing. Got into Sundance.
Crazy.
That was 15 years ago. 15 years ago right now.
Crazy.
I was at Sundance starting my career.
Crazy. Epic beginning.
Think about this succession of lucky things that had to happen. Like that's why I don't get too like look at me, with stuff, cuz I'm like so much of it had to do with luck and being in the right place at the right time.
Somewhere in the multiverse there's a kid still working at the deli.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Had to give up his dreams of filmmaking because Mark Clark didn't walk through the door.
Yeah, now I just drink 28 beers every night, and it's all good. I probably have 15 kids. But, yeah, the succession of lucky things that led us to where we are and what we're doing now. I'd think that, like, the only thing that I added to the mix, besides, like, the universe looking out for me, is, like, really staying focused on that's what I wanted to do and that's what I was going to do. And when I was given opportunities, I did good at them.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always impress me with how good you do at things. I'm like, wow, you did really good, Sean.
I almost need to be under pressure to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, some people rise to the occasion. You're one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about rising to the occasion, whatever the hell that means. I think it means being present.
Okay, yeah.
Because when I'm present, like I have access to all this stuff that it doesn't even feel like me.
What does it feel like?
It feels like it's a lame word and it gets overused, but it feels like a channel. It feels like a portal to like a lot of rich ideas that like make sense to me and I can fully see and I can distill it down to whatever. Like I was writing the other day for a couple hours and I sent it to you and you sent it to some clients and all this stuff and everyone was blown away and I was like, I don't even feel like I wrote that.
But you did, and you were like, Cass, I didn't use
AI?
AI. I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't use AI for something like that, but
No.
in these days and day and age, it almost is like you have to say that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just we're in the day and age where you're like, I could use AI to like spruce this part up or spruce that part up.
I will. I mean, for some things, like I've said it on the podcast before, like I think we have a small window right now to get away with murder by using AI because not everyone's hip to it. I don't think it really applies that much to creative stuff, from stuff that really needs to come from your heart and have your vision. Even though AI knows about my work, like that's what's bizarre. I could type into it like, could you make a pitch in the style of Sean Dunn, and it knows our previous stuff. It'll reference our previous stuff. It's crazy.
And I also think that people have a sixth sense for the AI.
You can tell. Well, look at this controversy Billy Strings just got involved with.
Yeah, his New Year's merch, he hires local artists and hired an artist, or they like submitted, and he was like, that looks great. And yeah, everyone was like, that seems like AI. And Billy was like, okay, tried to figure out like, hey, can you show me your work or whatever, and didn't hear back from the artist. So
Turns out it was AI.
yeah, you were saying you think that those shirts are going to be more popular because it like there's a little bit of thing around it now.
Well, I mean, I don't think Billy Strings ever had to go on the record and speak to uh, one of his pieces of merchandise. So I think it inherently has like a little bit more value. But why is it people are upset? Like, like
Well, I
it's
think
it's a
people want to
strange period
support,
we're in.
and people want to support. This guy competed to have the merch design, and instead of doing work, and he's competing against artists who put in work and instead fed it through a computer that used amalgamation of other people's art to spit something out that always looks slightly demented.
Yeah, it
You
does.
were pulling image stills too for this project we're working on, and you didn't use AI to get the images, but
No, but they're out there.
they're out there, and I
Their AI images are out amongst all the other images now. So when you're doing like very specific image searches, like I need a guy on a subway going to Coney Island, and like, there's like, there's a shitty one. Whoa, that one's awesome. I don't look that closely at it, kind of like Billy Strings. And you were like, look at this guy.
oh man,
It was AI.
you had some construction workers too, and I was like, dude, their faces were like melting
They looked
off.
like pug faces. Yeah, what can you do? I don't know. I like that it upsets people. I don't think it. I think we're in a like a liminal era with all this stuff. Like it's in an in between moment where
I like it because I feel like people, because the ubiquitousness of it all.
the ubiquity.
You think
It's a
that's
better word.
okay?
Yeah.
Fine. um, that people are going to be seeking out handmade stuff more and treasuring it more,
Yeah.
and being like, oh, I want an artist. I want someone who painted something. I want to see that it's painted. I think it might hurt digital artists if they don't work with AI.
Yeah.
You kind of really have to make it an ally if you're a digital artist, I would say, in a particular type. And I definitely know digital artists who are using it and definitely making art as if it's like a tool, as if it's a medium. AI is the medium that they're using.
That's awesome.
But I don't know. Right now, I'm just such a crafter. I loved crafting, and I like the idea of people making more gifts. And
You're Team Human.
yeah,
Great book by Douglas Rushkoff.
yeah, I am Team Human.
That gives me hope for our work.
Right? Yeah.
Our work is belligerently human, to the point where it's a little scary sometimes. So maybe there'll be more inherent value and stuff like that. Because, it's terrifying. Like, we go and visit Noah, and he's like, check this out. I've started all these AI content, like YouTube channels. And, like, he can spit out, like, content like you wouldn't believe. Like, hey, what do you want? A 1 minute video, a 10-minute video, a 20-minute video? You just type in a little prompt for what you want the video to be about. You say, hey, should the voice be male, female, trans, somewhere in between? What should it be? Should it have an accent? You can just like click all these things, and it just takes like 2 minutes, and it's just like, boom, here it is. And he's bombarding the internet with that stuff, like, and he's got to be one of many people that are doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has good ideas and it's useful. Like the videos I saw that were spit out. I was like, wow, this is interesting. You know,
Yeah.
you can learn something through what he's sharing.
But when I saw it, I was like,
He's going to
oh,
be one of other
we're
people.
fucked. Like, we're screwed. We make videos,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're very expensive to make, and they're very time consuming, and it takes like a lot of presence, and
Was it
it's like,
Trent Reznor who was saying that he's not putting out albums anymore because they're undervalued and underappreciated?
yeah. He said albums have just become too much of a disposable commodity for him to.
Invest time and energy and stuff in them is
Yeah, I mean, he'll stay busy. He does tons of
soundtracks.
soundtracks and scores, but he's just like, don't hold your breath for a new Nine Inch Nails album, you know?
Well, it's made us have to reapproach how we make movies and how much we invest in them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we've ever really,
Right.
just realizing that like there's no guarantee. It used to feel like you could break through on the internet in a way. With hard work and determination and reaching out to the right people, you could get the right eyes. But now you're just like a slave to the algorithm,
I
which has helped
know.
some people, but obviously there can
Yeah.
be some trickiness to it when the algorithm likes, especially drama or celebrity or fails,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I love fails, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because like some of our projects, like I already know, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a hit, you know, and other ones, I'm like, I don't know who this is for. I know that the people that it somehow reaches will love it and appreciate it, but it's not gonna do the same numbies.
Yeah.
Like American Sunset, we made that film. It's like such a proud thing for me. That film.
I was watching it down
You were watching it
yesterday.
yesterday, yeah.
I was laughing my ass off.
It's a comedy. It's a
There's just like
tragedy.
these moments that are just like, oh my
It's like
God.
one of my favorite things we've ever done, but it doesn't do the same numbers as Wooks, which came right after it, which I knew from a mile away. I was like, this one's going to go viral. This is going to get a lot of attention and will continue to get a lot of
Well, because
attention.
there's a zeitgeist, and
Hmm.
of course,
Yeah.
it makes sense. I mean, that's why even with going and doing American Juggalo, I was like, this is going to be a hit because it was in the zeitgeist at the
Oh, yeah.
time.
Was it?
Well, Tila Tequila,
Oh, yeah.
that
Our movie ended up dwarfing that. It was just, yeah, it popped up as like a little
was a
news story that Tila Tequila went to the Gathering of the Juggalos and got completely fucked with.
it was
by
a
them.
knife to spike some curiosity.
It spiked my curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I read this story, which sounded terrifying, of Tila Tequila going to the Gathering of the Juggalos and everyone throwing shit at her or whatever. And it sounded terrifying. And I was like, whoa, we need to go see what that is. In my heart, I was like, there's no way it can be that bad. And, I mean, like, it was for her. I'm not going to take that away from her.
Yeah, totally.
But when
That
we
sounds
went,
horrible.
when we went there, it was nothing like that. And also, I wonder if she mistook like getting sprayed with Fago and all that stuff being thrown at her for like abuse when it is kind of a form of love.
When people are yelling, piss yourself.
Yeah, yeah. But that was one I knew. When I thought of the title, which is low hanging fruit, but when I thought of it, I was like, that's gonna shift things for us, and it did.
I remember thinking it was going to shift stuff for us because we would go to film festivals. Like, I didn't, well, I guess with Johnny Corndog Stray Dog, and I went to
The
some
Bowler,
screenings of The Bowler with you. And
the Archive.
yeah, I feel like the Archive, I credit you with really kind of spearheading the energy towards short documentary format portraits of some interesting older man.
Yeah.
I think there's like a wave of them after
Yeah.
that. It wasn't so saturated when you made that, so it felt like really unique and interesting. But then by the time we were at these festivals, it was like, okay, another portrait of an old white guy who has some sort of hobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to be like, okay, we're flipping the script, and that's not to demean what your film
No,
or
not at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
I'm very proud of everything we've done.
But it was just like, oh, to like do a group, to do an energy, to do a scene, it will just be so a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, they don't even know.
They don't even know what we have in our back pocket. And American Juggalo was so big that we didn't even do film festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had blown up so much that I'm like, what am I gonna waste? Like these film festivals are a fucking racket. It's like $75 to submit. And yeah, what am I going to do? Spend thousands of dollars to, oh, please let me do a screening at some film festival I've never heard of and fucking 200 people go to, like, when already hundreds of thousands of people had seen it. Like,
Well, and also the amount of money you spend going to the festival. I think
yeah,
there's a use for it, and we're not totally opposed to doing it again. We have a film we're in the works with that would deserve that sort of attention, and
yeah, but someone else is going to pay for the submissions. You know, you were saying this the other night. You were like, it's kind of crazy that we have had success in this because we don't come from money and we don't have any money. Because that's what you really need, that to succeed in any art form, but
well, you were
especially
asking,
something as expensive as
you were
film.
also asking why don't we have more success? You know,
Yeah.
you weren't like, no,
Yeah,
no,
no.
but it was just kind of like, why do you think we haven't had more success? And I was like, because we don't have money. Like, we don't.
Yeah.
You need a lot of money to get your ideas made, and you need to get good ideas made, and eventually you'll break through to a level where you don't need to necessarily self-finance, but it takes a lot of self-financing to get to a certain point.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
Like almost 20 years later, still.
But you know what happens when you self-finance?
You don't have to answer to
I
anybody.
mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, a very pure vision can come out of it. And like the people that have picked up on our films, I think deeply appreciate that we made them like that.
Yeah, and that's why I think you get really happy when someone writes a comment on American Sunset and was like, damn, this is an underrated film or underrated channel or whatever it is. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. This is awesome. And you're just like, yes, I made it for you.
Yeah, totally.
This was made for you. This moment is perfect.
When people get that movie, especially, I'm like, thank you. You really understand me. When people really, when they resonate with that one in particular, I'm like, we're homies. You get me. You get what this is all about, you know? Because to me, that was like a crapshoot. It was like, it was literally like, again, luck. And it was like just being pulled towards an energy. This guy just called me. How did he know about me again? It was on the Concrete podcast.
Yes.
Shout out to Danny Jones and the Concrete podcast. That got us a lot of exposure. Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's his name, though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we were on that podcast, and like a couple weeks later, this guy calls me up. This is still like pandemic era. This guy calls me up and he's like, "Come make a movie about me. I'm a time traveling rapper who was at January 6th." Like all this stuff, and he overwhelmed me on the phone. Like really, I was just like, okay, whatever. But there was just like some little thing. I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. We hadn't made a movie in like 2 years. We had unemployment money, and it was like, let's put together as small a crew as possible and see if there's something interesting going on. So we just went to Indiana for 4 days. And I don't know, I think the reason I'm so proud of that is because like you make something like that and it works, and you know, I love it so much that I'm like, throw me anywhere. I could make a film. I could make a film anywhere, anytime, and make something interesting out of it. So yeah, when people get that one, I'm like, fuck yeah, that one. That's my baby. I made that on unemployment money when I didn't even know if we were ever going to make another movie again. It just felt like such uncertain times, and it really reinvigorated me. And yeah, thank God for Drew, our cinematographer, who really pushed to go make that and said he would do it for free, and brought all this equipment for free. And I borrowed my parents' car because ours wouldn't make it that far.
Really a big borrow and steal sort of situation.
All of them. Like, again, if you don't come from money and you don't have tons of money, it is a beg, borrow, and steal thing. But I just look at it as investing in yourself. And yeah, it worked out, I guess.
We've had a lot of good times, and I look forward to the good times we have ahead. You
Yeah.
know, I had a moment where I was like, oh, are we going to get too old to do this one day? You know?
Yeah, I've thought of that. But it's good to just stay in the present moment.
Yeah,
Just be like,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not too old now.
Yeah. I got to get
I
out
would have
there.
thought 15 years ago that at 42 I'd be too old for this shit.
15 years ago, 42 seemed really old.
Yeah,
Now 42 is like, I'm young.
I'm still young. I was telling you that. I was telling you that last night. I was like, wow, it's awesome. We're reuniting with Hillary, and like we're all still so young. Like, this is when filmmakers get good at their shit. So, yeah, I don't know. This is probably boring to people that aren't filmmakers or haven't seen our work, but
Go check it out.
Check
We're
out
just
him.
making an advertisement for our other movies right now, so
Yeah,
it is what
yeah.
it is.
That's what this podcast started as.
Yeah, just
We were like, we could use it to advertise the movies, and the movies will advertise the podcast in a weird way, and it'll kind of like feed each other. And it's never become quite like the symbiotic relationship I wanted it to be, but it'll be what it's going to be. It turns out it's like two separate things, and
we're
I love them
content
both.
kings.
Oh yeah, the kings of content.
Kings of content.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes I wake up and once in a while and I'm like, I should be doing more content. Not more, just more like
I'm content.
I'm content though. You know, it was more like I love the film so much, and sometimes I'm like, am I not doing them service by not promoting them with like shorts on Instagram or something like that? Not I guess what I'm saying is like I think it's a bit better to be content than be a content, but whatever. I'm not even this is let me digress.
I'm allowing it. I'm giving you the space to digress right now. What have you been thinking about, sweet little Cassie? Sassy Cassie?
Well, I've been thinking about how great you've been doing. Still post nicotine. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not to focus on you, but
no, it's all good.
I do want to bring attention to
it's
that.
It's a thing of the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand why I did that, and now I don't need it.
Yeah, our friend did a really wonderful ceremony with you and invited us to like
such a sweetie.
Burn that side of you away, you know.
Well, because she was like 6 months ahead of me on the journey. She had quit smoking. I think she was a smoker from like 18 to 25 or whatever, and somehow quit. And you know, but it's such an ever-present thing. Because you see people smoking, you see people using nicotine more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be very triggering, and it has to be like, it's weird. There's no like AA for nicotine. There's no rehab for it or anything. It's just like
there should be some sort of support network because there is a come down, right?
Well, yeah. No, there's a major come down that you could probably mistake for depression. But she did it. And she was telling us like how she did it, and she's proud of herself, and she's getting her lungs back. And I was like, I'm addicted to these, and I showed her the little things, and you were like, get those out of here. Don't even show her those, and this and that. And then a few weeks later, I kind of based on what she said, like she really kind of motivated me to be like, I can do this. Like I think kicking a smoking habit's probably harder than these little pouches. There's a lot more nicotine in a cigarette than
and there's also a lot more like habitualness to it, I think.
Yeah.
The habit, the oral fixation,
the
stepping
ritual.
outside. Yeah, a lot more ritual. If you roll your own cigarettes, there's a ritual to that.
Yeah. So she kicked it, and then they invited us over the other night and said like, let's do a little ceremony, and you know, thank this plant for everything that it taught us, you know, but let it go. And we had a little fire. And I had I still had a pack of these nicotine Zen pouches. I just threw them in the fire. She threw her tobacco in the fire. We said enough's enough with this. But not like cursing it or anything like that. Because I think that's when you start getting into territory of like cursing your past self. And that's not good, because your past self can feel that. And you probably felt that curse that your future self put on you when you were in that moment. And that's probably where like sticky feelings of like shame and guilt came from. At least that's the way I see it.
Well, it's like
I'm constantly playing with my past, present, and future self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an ego inflament. Like, I'm better than that, you know?
Yeah.
And to say that you're better than that is to like stake yourself in ground that is just, we're in quicksand, so.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, the ultimate act of forgiveness, I think, is just being like, I wouldn't change anything about my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything that happened to me, everything I did, it all led me to the motherfucker I am today. And I like that guy. And I have all these wild adventures that I can draw from. And maybe I don't need to be as compulsive and wild and weird as I was. But I don't regret that we were, or I was. And you sat there bearing witness to it with your perfect pure consciousness.
No, stop.
Yeah, I was telling our friend when we did this little ceremony, I was like, I don't often think this, but I would love to hop in Cass's consciousness for a second just to see what it feels like, because I bet you it feels like a nice clean room.
It feels like a fluffy cloud. I feel like in a fluffy cloud right now.
Yeah.
No, it can get messy. It gets a little stressful.
Hmm.
You remind me to calm myself down.
I
Take a
try to
deep breath.
I try to bring you back to the present moment.
Yeah, I can just run a little tight or spin a little fast, but
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Well, luckily it's so easy to spot with
Noah,
you.
yeah, Noah was one of the most revealing moments about my personality of my life when I think about it.
Lay it on me.
So in our old apartment, we used to have this like epic curtain that we put up because it was helped keep the heat in a room. And we were with some friends, Joey and Mare, and so I don't remember how this came up, but it was like, let's do an impression of each other, how we are when we walk into a room.
Oh, it was so funny. It was like our form of charades.
Yeah, it was like, guess who I am.
We each had to do it. You know, it was like, Cass, get behind that curtain and walk in as Joey right now. You're not allowed to say anything. Now walk in as Mare. Now walk in as Sean.
Or just even guess who I'm walking in as,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
I don't remember how we did it, but either way, Joey walked in as me, and I was like, oh my God.
You're like, is that how I come off?
That is how I come off, because that is how I am sometimes, where I'm just like, head down, like, people in the apartment, and I'm just like, I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
I'm stressed. I
Yeah.
gotta figure something out, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I've calmed down a lot since that moment, partly because that moment was like, whoa.
Well, I think it's particularly hard for you given like the role that you play in everything we do.
I'm like, I gotta take things seriously.
Well, you kind of do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel for you in that way, because it's very easy for me to be like, hey, come on.
Come
Chill
on.
out. Join me in the present moment right now. It's like you have to anticipate so much.
Yeah.
And I mean that's especially like when we're working on a project or something. You have to be thinking many steps ahead. So that can really trip up like what the present moment even feels like to you.
Yeah. No, and
The present moment could feel stressful to you if it's not, like if you're not like thinking ahead and getting shit done.
yeah, anticipating and looking.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I've learned how to do it with more grace. I'm learning how to slow down and every day. But man, I remember being a PA way back in the day,
Production assistant
at 21 years old or whatever, and having like producers and being like, they're so chill.
Yeah.
And you really couldn't.
The best ones are chill.
And I was like, why can't I be chill? And as I've gotten older, I realized like a good chunk of it has to do with experience. You have to have seen things like work out.
Yeah.
You have to have gone through the process of like actually, and having actual big stresses. So when a little stress pops up, it doesn't even blip on your radar. You're like, oh, I fix things and that's something I can fix.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's what I love about being a human, but is like a little frustrating because as someone who like prioritizes comfort over everything, even though I do a lot of things that make me uncomfortable, but I still really just like want to wear comfortable clothes. I want to make people I'm around feel comfortable. I want to feel comfortable. That's not to say I want to stay in a box, but it really, life experience is what allows that.
Yeah.
And you can't skip ahead. You can't skip in line to the wisdom that getting older has brought. And it's like, that's for me. As bittersweet as aging and getting closer to death is, it's like you feel more comfortable in your skin.
Oh, yeah. That's why I love aging and dying.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
You're like, just as soon as I freaking really love this meat suit, I'm going to be out of here.
Totally. Yeah. Don't get too used to it.
Yeah. Don't attach too much. Don't cling too much.
Well, I think it's interesting because you're like, with age comes the wisdom of like things work out. But like, I also think what's helped me get to the place is like seeing things not work out. That's almost more powerful.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish my sister was still alive.
Yeah.
She's not. Like, what can I do about that? It didn't work out. Am I going to let that haunt me? that's like an ego attachment to things working out, the way I think they should. And
Right.
I don't know. I think having some stuff like that, and having like for so long in the commercial world, which is how we make our money, we always have to bid these jobs. Like I had such a high batting average. Like we would get every job that we'd get to bid. And then, went on a streak where it's like we'd bid a bunch of jobs and then we just didn't get them for one reason or
Yeah,
another.
we were competing with companies that just
They had already picked out the person that
a
they
lot of
wanted
times they
to.
already have picked out the person, or they're coming with like, hey, we can do in-house graphics, in-house this, in-house that,
Yeah, yeah. So, but like those not working out, it's like, I don't know. I think it made me a better person a little bit.
Oh, well, because it doesn't work out, and you're like, I'm okay.
You're
Like,
like, I'm fine.
I'm
It's
fine.
okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm happy. What is success being? This is, I think, where the gambling mindset gets a little dangerous.
Totally. Totally.
Because it's
I'll
almost,
get it back.
I'll get it back. There's the underdog mentality, but then there's also the, kind of the high you get of like everything falling apart and being like maintaining an optimism,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun, but I think within the context of gambling can be a little more dangerous
Yeah.
because you kind of get off on like, the loss. Some people do, it seems.
Faux show.
The humbling loss and just being like, nah, they're just holding my money.
People that don't like losing don't become gambling heads.
Right.
I don't think. I don't. I know I don't like losing. So like you've seen me give up gambling.
Yeah.
You've seen it. Like I'm like, it's not fun to me. It's just that it's not that fun. Even to the point where it's like, oh, crypto's booming. Like we better get some money in there. It's just like it's not that fun. To the point where getting a bunch of money in that way isn't even that fun to me either. Like it's not what I want my reward system anticipating and craving.
No, we were watching last night, Molly's Game with Jessica Chastain, like runs these high end pots, where it's like
High end poker games with
high-end
very, very rich people, where it's like $500,000 to get in the game.
and one of the characters, Michael Cera, is playing who you think might be based on.
It's a true story. Molly's Game is a true story, and it's a book. And she changed all the names in the book besides her own. And in the film, Michael Cera plays this celebrity that everyone wanted to play poker with, and I think is based on Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, so we don't know, but we think so. And what was so interesting about his character, I mean, he's an actor, so he like making money by like acting is like, okay, like I did my job, but making money from like convincing someone in poker
Yeah.
to like bet the way you want them to so that you win
Yeah.
is like a whole nother level of stakes
Yeah.
that your art of like how you present and how you act.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was very validating. It seemed like that character really wanted to just destroy people's lives, which was like kind of a dark side of it. But
Which is what he tried to do to the main character too.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think as you get your wires crossed, it's like
Mhm.
you're very talented at this thing, and he's like, "Oh, let me use it for evil purposes."
Well, I think
You have to use your gifts for good purposes.
Well, I also think there's a point where you're like looking for, if you are looking for a rush, the stakes have to get a little higher each time because you're looking for some sort of external validation,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if it's always external, it's always
You're
going
always
to be,
going to need more.
you're always going to need more. You're going to need more stuff or more
Yeah.
love or more relationships or more sex or more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is stuff that I'm now I'm trying to play with my frequency and the things that I think I need, and I'm depriving myself of stuff that I thought I needed to even feel alive. And I'm not only good, I'm probably better than ever. I'm probably sharper than I've been in a really long time right now.
I think so. I think
It's hard for me to say. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, I don't want to like praise you too much in the sense of
Oh,
like,
of course not. We just do hundreds of episodes where Sean's a fuckhead.
No,
but
no, no.
like forget about like he's doing really good.
No, okay. Basically, the reason I want to praise you, and I feel like I have been, and I will continue to, but I just don't want you to use me as something to push off of like, if you get resentful of me or get upset with me, I don't want you to change your habits based on because I want you to do things for you, obviously.
It's the only, it wouldn't stick otherwise.
Yeah, no, I know.
It wouldn't stick. I hate to say it because you are the muse of this pass through for me. So I can attribute a lot to you in terms of my successes, but also my failures. But I know that trying to kick some addiction, like I've seen it. It only works when you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
It's why the intervention model doesn't really resonate with me that much. With the glaring exception of my father.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm just like,
It's really weird. It's like I have this nice, tidy worldview, and when it comes to addiction, like all this stuff, but then it's like my dad is like the shining example of the opposite. He only will do things if he's shamed. He will only stop doing things if he's shamed.
you are the most passionate orator I feel like I've ever met. Like as far
I'd
as how
say
you
so.
can articulate and get very potently get a point across, because you've literally had to tell your dad like the words that he needs to hear, that you need to impart him on him to get him off of some of the heaviest addictions, like pills.
Yeah.
Pills are some of the craziest addictions. Cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the
Crack.
crack. These are some of the craziest addictions ever, and you've had to be like lay down the law in a way that is so intense.
It embarrasses me, even doing it. It's kind of like what I was saying before, like when like a channel opens, it's the same thing in that realm. I'm like, who just said all that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I had a speech prepared. It just flows out, and it's like literally, he's probably the only person, maybe you, but even then, I wouldn't go as hard as I would go on him. Like, it's really
Well,
the,
I'm not dabbling in any of those
yeah,
territories.
yeah,
When you're mad at
exactly.
me, it's about like something stupid.
But it is love. It's weird. It doesn't seem like it when it's going down, but it is love.
I think he knows that and he can feel it, because I know you say it's shame, but I think we know and he knows that it's love and it's care.
Yeah, yeah,
Ultimately, like I think that he can determine, as much as it might be painful to him at times, he knows it's because you care.
yeah,
Probably because you're saying, this is because I care.
yeah, yeah. I went nuclear the other night. I haven't cried in so long, and it ended with me crying.
I was started crying listening to you. I was down here and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was very. Yeah, I mean, it was literally like he was just gonna live his life in bed. There's a new term called millennial bed rot, by the way.
Oh, I would have totally been one of those people. Don't break up with me. I will be one of those people,
No,
by the
I
way.
know. Like I could see it. Like I get it.
Yeah,
I get
I
it. Like why
totally
would
get
you
it.
have to leave your bed when you can Postmates anything you need
Watch
or
TV.
watch TV? Your phone is right there. The internet, like. But yeah, he was like really just like giving into the darkness. But it's also, Cass, it's the come down of nicotine
Yeah.
because it can be. You can identify with it as your life force.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me like how the marketing got its hooks in him from a young age. A cowboy out on the prairie with nothing to his name and nowhere to go. But he's got his Marlboros. That's my Marlboro man. And my dad is a wild Marlboro man his
He
whole life.
definitely is.
And I shamed him out of smoking. And I think it led to a little bit of boomer bed rot. And, he just like wasn't getting out of bed or doing anything or moving energy for days at a time. And I could see it was starting to affect my mom.
Yeah.
That's when it gets. That's when something comes over me, and it's not me. I'm protective. It's crazy. I don't know where it comes from, but I'm like,
Well, you had
you're
very.
making my mother fucking dread her retirement because she's gonna have to spend more time fucking dealing with your bullshit. Get it together, and like it just led to. It led to me being so harsh that he was like, Sean, I hear you, but like, God, you can be so cruel. And I was like, cruel? Cruel? And that's when it really went nuclear. And I was like, cruel? Let's talk about some of the stuff that we've had.
Yeah.
And it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like just resume of fucking bullshit that like we've been through.
Yeah.
And I could say, I don't want to be a victim, but I could say he put me through because he's in a much more powerful position than I was. He was my father. He had a license. He had money. I'm a kid. Like, what can I do? So, kind of like gave him a shock to the system. Like, dude, you've put us through enough. Enough's enough. We got to figure out how to get you up and moving. And what ended up making me cry was saying, like, man, when I need a talisman for somebody that's a good person, I think of you. And it's fucked up. I think of my dad when I think of, like, how do I be a good person? Because he is so kind to people, and he cares so much. And I didn't think it was weird. I grew up with us picking up hitchhikers all the time and strange men being in our house. And I didn't know what was going on. But,
Yeah.
like, my dad just cares. He
Yeah.
really cares. And he would take people in. And, you know, someone would show up at their first AA meeting, and my dad would be the first person to take them under their wing. You know? We had this guy that came and ate dinner with our family every day for, like, 3 years. And I had no idea why. I was like, what's going on? And it, like, turns out that he fucked his babysitter. And his wife threw him out, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, who would take that guy in?
Yeah.
He was an alcoholic who fucked the family babysitter.
Jesus.
Yeah. And he just, like, I think he would have killed himself if my dad didn't say, you're to be here every night and you're going to eat with our family.
Yeah.
And, yeah, just, I can't even tell you the selflessness and the going out of his way and how many times he's helped us and bailed us out. So it just crushes my spirit to see that guy stuck in bed.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to fucking have a baptism of tears in that moment. But that's what broke the tension. I was screaming and screaming and screaming and saying, you know, like, when I think of somebody, and it just broke me because it's true. You know, when I think of, like, who's a good person, you know, I need an example right now. I need to rise to the occasion. I need an example of a good person of everyone I've ever met and known and seen in movies and read about and all this. I think of my dad because he really is that good. He really is that kind and open-hearted. And he really doesn't want to hurt anybody. He really doesn't. And through everything we've been through, he really didn't want to hurt me. He didn't want to. It was just what happened. And in my way of thinking about life and spirituality, it's what I called for before I even took form to this family.
Mm-hmm.
I came to this family for a reason. And it's like it's coming into more focus as I get older. But, you know, it wasn't something I was proud of, but I think, like, all that, like, just right place, right time. Like, I don't know, I just happened to hear my mom get frustrated and my dad moping more, and it just triggered me. And I think it moved a tremendous amount of energy that needed to be moved in this household. Like, I those things just need to happen every now and then.
Some people can respond to motivational speeches, even if they're, like, a little fiery and harsh and stuff like that. Because, you know, it's like a trap to become. I think it's like a delicate line because he can feel trapped into, like, the victim narrative of, like, oh, my son's so mean to me.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I don't know, it just takes a lot of presence and articulation to be like, that's you're in the same time you're, like, going through this and you're like, don't be lazy and take this as
Don't what?
like, don't just, like, succumb to a victim narrative. Of course you'd want to come with a victim narrative. I like you, and I think your way of
I'm saying you're a victim of life. You want to hear what my life's been like?
yeah.
I haven't. I said, why don't you give me a little bit of that stuff you love? Where's the Ativan? Where's the Klonopin? Where's the Xanax? Where's all that stuff? Give me the Oxys. Give me the shit that you love. I've never taken a pill. You know? I haven't tried to take the easy way out. Like, please, like, have some context as to what this has been like. But, like, I'm giving this speech to myself. That's why it doesn't feel like me saying it.
Always,
because it's
yeah.
like stuff I need to hear about not giving in to, like, just the lowest form of negativity and not giving in to the shittiest stories you could tell about your family or yourself, and just keeping yourself locked in victimhood, which has just sadly become like a commodity in this country, at least, you know, in our current culture.
Yeah.
It seems like the only thing a lot of people can hang their hat on is, like, well, I am a victim. You know, I am oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fun way to feel. It's, like,
No,
disempowering.
but it is a way to feel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's like, that's my story. Oh, okay, things haven't worked out for me. That's my story. I've been oppressed. I've been victimized, and a lot of people have. A lot of people have, but is that the story you want to be telling about yourself?
The dominant narrative.
Yeah, why would you want to let that be the dominant narrative? We're all guilty of it. Every one of us. I'm probably more guilty of it than most people
That's
hearing
that's
this.
the reason we didn't put out the last.
That's literally the reason we didn't put out the last podcast that we recorded.
Because I was tired. We're still recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was tired, and I think we have like a normal trope that we get into where like I give you a hard time about something that was not even that big of a deal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then we make a thing out of it, and then you're just, and I just realized, I was like, oh my god, I just fell back into that trope of like a victim narrative, and I don't even feel like a victim, so to come and sort of express as if I'm a victim is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just felt like so ridiculous about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you said something, and I just like was bullshit. Like it was just
It was righteous
nonsense.
victimhood too,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a scary one. It wasn't even like paralyzed victimhood. It was like, no, I know the story.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you're the victim? I am. And it's the same thing. It's all the
Yeah,
same.
we go back and forth,
Yeah, we
and I
just
think we're
run
just
in
trying to
circles.
like invite each other into better narratives and
Yeah.
invite and hold space for each other. And this Eckhart Tolle book I've been reading about, like A New Earth, has been helping me kind of roll with the punches of life or flow with things and just not. I'm trying to get better tools to not flare my own, to not allow my own ego to flare in response to someone else's ego flare up, or like
Just
it's
you want to be
chicken or
less
the egg.
reactionary.
Yeah, because it's like my ego activates your ego, and your ego activates my ego, and it just becomes this like
Yeah.
dance. Like you have to absorb and transmute,
Otherwise, it'll paralyze you.
and also otherwise you'll just pass it on to someone else.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
this energy is in you. It can bounce off you and reflect in a way that like is very damaging, and then it bounces back at you again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's almost like sometimes I can be so impermeable that like my energy just like bounces right back to you, but it's not even, that's rude, you know?
Yeah.
Like to not absorb what you're communicating to me, to allow us to both like rise to a higher consciousness of like understanding, compassion, and love and acceptance,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that you've seemed to love that book. Have you ever gone down the Eckhart Tolle rabbit hole before? Is this your first?
No,
Yeah.
I've read it, like Be Here Now, or no, yeah, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
But
He's like the Beatles of spiritual shit.
yeah,
He's somebody that everyone seems to love. How many countless guests on this podcast, friends of ours, whatever, have been like, oh yeah, The Power of Now changed my life, or whatever, name of one of his books.
I mean, I think it's like talking about awakening in a very like grounded way,
Mm-hmm.
and in lieu of like psychedelic journeys, which can like kind of throw you around. And I'm not saying there's not a time and a place, but I've been like, hey, I want to have that psychedelic consciousness expansion without the psychedelics sometimes,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And I think
That's about patience.
books that are about awakening and kind of not serving the ego and realizing the ego is like, if you try to like clamp down on the ego is just going to flare up more. So it's just like a
Yeah.
dance. You know,
Yeah.
what I was thinking, that also, speaking of psychedelics, unless there's something else you wanted to say just now.
No.
Our friend Wes was sharing his friend's trip report. I was thinking I could read it.
Yeah. Totally. That was very trippy. Like, what did Wes give someone acid for the first time? Like an
Yeah.
older head?
I don't, yeah, just another head. I don't,
Yeah.
but they had acid for the first time. So he sent us, as he knew we would appreciate it, he sent us his response. And I was like, hey, if I won't say his name, but can I share this with people that
Oh,
I
you
know?
asked Wes if you could share it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So with permission,
Yeah.
author anonymous.
This stuff to me is like the gold of like, it's very precious. It's very sacred when, the things that come to you when you first take a psychedelic trip. It's like, I hate to say it, there might be diminishing returns after that. If this guy were to take acid again this weekend, he might not tap into this, because this was just very, very cool. Read it.
Yeah. okay, so Wes asks him, what are your thoughts, you know? And he wrote, the fucking truth, bro. A pro advice to all young, indecisive, and self-acclaimed lost people who stress about their future, who are stressed about finding out who they are and what they need to do. And advice to myself, you have time. 'Cause time, you see, doesn't exist. You can only really have what doesn't exist. You can only really own what isn't real. Time is not real. Therefore, we own time. It's a mind-made concept. We own it with our minds, our thoughts and humanoid brain, to perceive all matter better and fragmented, and to experience not all at once, in order to understand the universe, to grasp both the vastness of it and the detail of it, the infinity of it, every hour of it, every minute, second. If time would exist, it would be finite. It'd have a logical beginning and a logical end, an intro and an outro, an arc of tension, a direction. The universe is omnidirectional, knows no end, is infinite. There is no specific direction. There is no beginning and there is no end. So there is no time. No point A to point B in time. No difference. All of it is now, happening in the same moment, happening at the same time. Unified time. A concentrated big ball of time space, expanding and contracting all at once in every direction. As a breathing lung. Yin and yang, a buff, unified, instantaneous ball of time, fragmented, structured, organized, threaded by our brains to comprehend, to take it slow. You've got this. No difference. All of it is happening now, happening in the same moment, happening at the same time, unified time. Oh, sorry. We are the timekeepers, speed limiters, minute stretchers. We open space by creating time, by owning it, but there is none. Love exists. You can't own that. It's universal. Time doesn't. It's human. It's yours. Take it. Take your time. You have it. And then he followed up. Let me see this.
Whoa. Take your time.
You have it. Yeah.
But that's a whole different way of thinking about the phrase "take your time."
I know, totally. I'll finish what his last. He went on. Every breath is a pulse that manages time by rhythm, which is timed movement in our perception of reality. We can literally slow down time by breathing or speed it up. To physical beings living from A to B, from birth to death, time looks relative, but it actually doesn't exist. It exists only in order to compute the physical experience of eternal, infinitely, and unstoppable expanding beings. That's why there's a narrative. There appears to be logic and cause and effect. There seems to be physics that rule our material world. That's why we created time. We are timekeepers, speed limiters, minute stretchers. We open space by creating time, by owning it. But there actually is none. Whoo-wee.
Reminds me of that Me Puppets song, "Oh Me."
Yeah, why?
I can't see the end of me, my whole expanse. I cannot see a formulate infinity and store it deep inside me.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
It's another way to put it. A little more
Yeah. More lyrical.
lyrical, yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautifully written.
And it's
if I got a text like that, I'd be like, I don't know how to respond to this. Like, it would put a little thumbs up or something. I don't even know what.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
No, that's the beauty of acid and psychedelics, is that you can have a tangible experience of that space beyond time, you know, and to feel the relativity of time and feel time be abstracted, so that you're like, oh, the time that I feel in regular life is kind of an illusion.
Yeah.
It's crazy that time feels so similar every day. Or you know, it's more interesting how, you know, flow can speed up time, or fasting can slow down time. And
oh yeah, you've never had a longer minute of your life than if you haven't eaten in 3 days. Good Lord, we know about that.
Yeah, or just if you're not around anyone, or not doing anything that's stimulating.
Yeah.
You're like, well, there's a lot of time in a day.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
way
that's
too much.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing. Like, stimulation really speeds time up.
Yeah.
And that's we're doing ourselves a disservice by being overstimulated.
Well,
you're giving time away.
Yeah.
Take your time.
We're praying to the devil of death. with our distraction.
Whoa.
I said I was um yeah, no, I love those kind of reminders. Especially since it's been a minute since I've done a big LSD trip. I'm like, it kind of like can make your stomach a little
Well,
uneasy.
that's a beautiful thing too about these psychedelics is like you don't need to keep taking them. You really don't. Like you got the message probably in the first few times, and now the message can be triggered by things like that, by words and other people's experiences and just reminders. So,
Yeah, no, it was interesting thinking about where we are now and what led to it, and um just trying to think, like, sometimes I can get superstitious of like, did this lead to that? And when something's good or when something's bad, I'm like, is it because of this or because of that?
oh yeah, no, I know.
And
You
then
did the other day revealed that you thought you were partly responsible for a friend of ours that accidentally died, and it had nothing to do with us, you know. But like that's your ego tripping out.
yeah, yeah, I I mean, we're all partly responsible for everything. Like there's,
Hmm. There's no
it's
separation.
there's no separation. It is everything. But I don't know. We're trying to understand concepts that make sense to like the human narrative that we have and the life that we live. But things might not be going as much in order as we think they are.
Mm.
You know, our mind makes us think that things happen in order, but they might not actually be happening in order.
That's
And
why I'm talking about being good to your past self, no matter what they were up to.
yeah,
You know, because I don't know. Do you ever feel like a weight out of nowhere, and you're like, "What the heck is this?" Or like just crushed under tremendous guilt or stress or whatever, and it's like, is that not the future me saying, "Oh God, I was such a piece of shit for so long," or whatever? You know, I'm not doing a great job of articulating it, but I can feel it. It's helped me clean my act up
mm-hmm.
and take my time back.
Plant better seeds.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's cool because like when you take acid or mushrooms or ayahuasca or any of this stuff, um, gives you a break, I guess, from the ego. Which I always say, like the simplest way I think of the ego is like your story of you, and it kind of gives you a little bit of space from that. And you know, on the on like the physiological level, it's just like it's silencing your amygdala, which is like telling you to be scared.
Yeah.
It's like regulating fear responses. So you take this and you're not scared, and then you realize time's not real.
Then you get scared again.
Yeah. No, but isn't it just like such a trip? Like it's is like how much of our fear and survival instinct is dictating how our life feels in terms of us getting ahead of ourselves or feeling like we're stagnating or whatever. So, this whole chapter right now for me is about calming down and slowing down and learning how to self regulate, learning how to not bitch and moan about myself to myself, but also about external things to my babe. You know, it's just learning how to like regulate.
Yeah. There's a balance of like, of course we can vent to each other, and of course I can be here for you, but I'm also not your therapist. And I'm not saying you use me as one, but we all use each other as one,
Yeah.
and we don't necessarily know how that affects each other. And what we're speaking into reality.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm not saying to be like so precious with what you express or anything, but
I mean, I think as you become more aware, you just naturally do because you realize the impact of everything.
yeah,
You
well,
realize the impact of impure thoughts,
yeah, it's rough.
let alone something you might express.
Well, that's what's so cool about like, and burdensome, I guess, about like the tangible experience of karma that you can have on high doses of psychedelics is like you're like, time's not real. I'm here. The way I'm feeling has to do with like my actions and my thoughts and all this stuff, and you're just like, it's freeing though because you're like, oh well, I can just do better, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
I can just be more aware. I can be kinder, be more generous, be more grateful, be more brave.
Courageous. I think
Courageous.
it's a courageous act to even take a look at all this stuff. It's courageous to take psychedelics. It's courageous to go on a journey of self-improvement. It's courageous to quit things, to move energy, because what the ego wants is what's familiar. It seeks comfort in familiarity, even if the familiarity is bed rot.
Mm-hmm. Or even if the familiarity is righteousness, or at least I'm better than X,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Complaining about something because you can be like, "Oh, well, this sucks and that sucks and I'm better than." I'm like, "It is me."
mm,
That is me. That is a total reflection of me and where I'm at, an extension of who I am.
yeah,
And getting to tap into the unified consciousness once in a while is like kind of a gift, because you're just like, whoa, we're all out here together and it's not what we think it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And it's not going the way we think it is, and it's not about what we think it is, and it's not necessarily about collecting and hoarding resources as we're told,
yeah.
you know?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Actually, in fact, that's making things worse.
Yeah.
Well, in the unified field of consciousness, we're always home.
Yeah.
We're always comfortable. We're always held. And bitching and moaning, you're just talking about yourself when you're on that level, when you're in the unified field of consciousness, and which is always available to us. Which is, I think that's in that book. Is like when things feel like they're getting crazy or out of control, or you're having ego flare-ups, you can just tap into the unified field of consciousness and the feeling of aliveness that is contained in every being in this universe. It's a pretty trippy little mind game you could play, and it's a trippy little escape hatch.
Yeah. The trick is to remember even when you forget.
Mm.
Allow yourself to forget, and then just be like, I'll just remember again. I'll just have to remember again.
Yeah.
I might have forgotten right now, but it's temporary.
Remember to forget, forget to remember.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Just saying gobbledygook right now.
Yeah. Whatever. Like we were saying the other day, like we had a friend that used to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure this is my first time being a human." It's like we could all assume that about ourselves.
Yeah.
It feels very much like my first time being Sean. So what am I going to do? Beat myself up because I'm not doing some perfect run through? What would a perfect run through even look like or feel like?
Yeah, and you also...
I'm getting used to this. I'm figuring out what it is to be in a body, there's a lot of limits to being in a body.
I think it's
My
more...
consciousness is not used to being contained like that. I'm getting used to being a human being at 42 years old still. And I probably will be until the day I get out of this body.
I think that's the shame of what you're calling millennial bed rot, and I've definitely had some days and times like that. But I could see how you could succumb to it, but you're just doing a disservice to yourself and the world, because you being present, like generally you, is such a gift to other people. Like, just think, like what I can't help but think when you say that thing about Mark Clark is like you putting yourself out there by having a camera and then staying to work at the deli. Like, you have like infinite possibilities when you're creating of like who you're going to run into, and then the universe can like conspire and have your back. But
Totally.
you can take yourself out of the game
Mm-hmm.
by not doing anything and passively consuming.
Yeah.
And it's easy, but it's painful, and it hurts us, and it hurts our body, it hurts our soul, it hurts our spirit. And it's not only a disservice to you and your physical, spiritual body, but it's also a disservice to all the people you could affect. Because as much as Mark Clark affected you, you obviously affected him.
Yeah, he texted me being like, "I miss you. I'll be in New York City. Let's hang out." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
exactly.
man, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it, man?"
Yeah, and I mean, if we're here, let's affect each other.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you had great advice the other night. It hit me hard. We had a friend. We have a friend who is like stagnating and kind of complaining about that and everything in their life, and they're not doing anything. Currently, just not doing anything, and haven't been for a while. And you were like, do something, even if it's not the right thing. What do you sit around and wait for the perfect idea for you to do the perfect thing? Start doing something, even if it's not good.
You got to move energy.
You got to move energy. You got to start collecting data points. Like you got to.
It'll inform. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of why we stick to this podcast, even though we don't have the best numbies that you could possibly have, and sponsors.
We
and
do
all
have
this.
the best numbies you could possibly have.
Yeah, we do, because the best people listen to us.
Yes.
Especially the people that are this deep. But I thought it was so, like, I was like, damn, Cass, I'd never heard you say that before.
I feel like I've said it a million times. It's like,
I just thought it was such a perfect advice in the perfect moment for the perfect person. Just like, do something. Who cares what it is? Do something, even if it's not the right thing. What's not the right thing? Should I look back and be like, I shouldn't have been working at the deli a year out of college? I should have been, what? What should I have been doing? Mark Clark came in that deli and saved my life. Where else should I have been? Where else should I be now?
In a way, you skipped ahead because of it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Being in a small team where you could really prove yourself and, then get, have an opportunity to produce and direct and write at such a young age. It's very impressive.
Yeah, totally. And, who am I?
And also, we gotta, I'm not beyond mess ups, and I'm making little mess ups every day. Life is little.
Oh, hell yeah.
Little mess ups, oops, sorry, I'm learning. But
happy little accidents.
But you gotta get them through because it gets better. I make a lot less happy little accidents, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I have a lot less stressful days. It's not perfect, and I think that's what we've both been trying to impart on each other is let's just be patient with each other. We're doing so good. Let's be grateful for each other, and I think we're really stepping into that with each other, and it's been a long fucking journey.
Yeah.
And we're still on it together. We've been together now
13 years.
13 years. Wow, yeah.
Crazy.
They were making Stray Dog 13 years ago.
Yeah. We reunited with Hillary, and it was like, damn, Hillary's known you since you were 22 years old.
I know.
A little stress pot PA, to now you're executive producing, and we're all still in the game.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. Life is so cool if you live it. If you don't live it, it's not going to be so cool. You got to live it. You got to live it. You got to do a little something. You got to shake it up.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's going to a different church every weekend and learning something from different pastors and preachers or whatever, and learning stuff about the architecture and meeting new people. And
I love that. That's very cool. That's very commendable. Yeah.
And then the artist way is all about taking yourself on artist dates, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every time I go to a museum, I'm so inspired. I'm why do I not go to museums more? Every time we watch a documentary, I'm so inspired, and it's it feels so easy to just passively consume.
Yeah, totally.
But there's so much life to be culled from
Yeah.
moving.
What about our friend that did the radical prescription and she fucked 48 different guys in 48 days?
Yeah, try that one. No.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. She felt that she needed to move a tremendous amount of energy, and she took on this challenge, and she did it, and made her the person she is now, riddled with STDs and no. Yeah, but it's no one knows what that radical prescription for you and what your soul needs besides you. And
you're
a
not
lot
gonna
of
know
times
unless
you
you
don't
find
know
out.
unless you start doing this stuff.
You were telling me the other day, you're Cass, you were just put into good words, and I don't know how to share this, but you were look, Cass, I've got this one life to live, and I just want to be a legend. Because, sometimes you do wild shit, and I support you in being wild, and I'm do wild shit, and you support me in being wild, but I think we just, you put a word to it. You're look, I just want to be freaking legendary.
Yeah.
I'm, seduced by that, legendary zhuzh or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you definitely know how to disqualify it with toxic modesty sometimes, and I'm we're on a legendary run through, and you can't even speak to it in any kind of positive way. You just always want to say oh no, it's not us. It's oh no, big deal. I'm just stop, let's own it. Let's own it.
Mm-hmm.
We're living our dream.
1000%.
Yeah.
Enjoying every minute of it.
we're taking our time.
Taking our time, owning time.
Yeah. Cool. We could hop over to the Patreon for a little bit, talk a little bit more, get a little bit more personal, a little bit more detailed, a little more spicy.
Okay, babe.
If you haven't already joined our Patreon, it's so cool. It's called the Church of Chill, and it's a great community. In addition to a bunch of music mixes I've done 177 episodes of the Church of Chill radio show. They're all on there, and probably 100 plus bonus podcasts. And that is on patreon.com/Church of Chill.
Where we do often, the friend I was talking about, Rachel, we do art group on Sundays.
Sunday
usually
afternoon, the homies get together and do art together on the Zoom or through the Discord. There's like a video channel that everyone gets on.
It's like sometimes the conversation's really flowing and really good, and sometimes we're just like off in our little worlds. But having that accountability is just like, it's just such a good vibe. So
Yeah.
if you want to have any time where you make some art,
Yeah.
in the company of others,
That's patreon.com/Church of Chill. We ask for $2, but you can, of course, give more if you really dig what we do. We really deeply appreciate it at this point. And we also have a bunch of new merch. We're running low, so get in while you can still get them. We have our Church of Chill hoodies. We have our Church of Chill Laugh Till You Cry, Live Till You Die t-shirts, which will be great for the summer.
Supercharged.
Yeah, and we have Very Ape beanies that are my new favorite hat. I love those things. So thank you so much for listening to us. Peace, love, and magic, y'all. See you in the afterglow. Shoo.